Hey everybody, it's build day. As you can see in front of me, I got my drifter. Got some new Tamiya Tamiya Racing Factory shocks, and they're made of blue aluminum, so they must be good. Picked these up off eBay, reasonable price compared to the other alternatives, and apparently they're the best you can get for drifting, so I'm gonna go with them. I don't know anything about on-road, so I just gotta take other people's advice on most of these things. So I'm gonna build these shocks today for my drift car in the background, obviously. This is the TEH R31, as seen in my previous videos. The stock shocks, or the plastic shocks, I haven't even filled them up. I haven't had a chance to drive the car yet, but apparently they leak like crap anyway, so they're not even worth wasting the shock oil on. So I'm not going to. I'm just going to upgrade them before I even bother driving the thing. So I'm going to go through building these shocks. I never professed to be perfect at anything, so I'll never, yeah, something like that. Anyways, obviously I'm not very good at speaking either. Anyways, so if I do something wrong, let me know down in the comments. Tell me a better way of doing it. Tell me your way of doing it. There's lots of ways of doing everything. You can always improve yourself by getting other people's opinions. So I'm going to build them how I think I need to build them. I don't know anything about on-road. This is my first drift. Get it? Into the on-road system. So I'm just going to go with it and do what I think is right. And if it works, great. If not, that's what tuning's for. Always have to tune everything. It doesn't matter how good you think you are or how perfect your setup is. It's never perfect. You always got to do some tweaking. Okay, now that the car's out of the way, I've got my tools pretty much for building shocks. Any off-road shocks that I built before, based on experience, you need a pair of pliers. These ones are well used, pretty dirty, grungy, kind of gross really. Anyway, and paper towel. I'll get to that later. Let's get into this box and see what we got. That's it. First thing out of the box is the shock bodies. Bodies, caps, and springs. Got a little one on the bottom here too, just to hold some O-rings, tensioners, preloads, whatever you want to call them, and the cap on the top. You can see right through that thing. So let's get that out of the way. There's one. Just do one at a time here. We've got a parts tree as well. Has the various parts we're going to need. I assume this is the cap link. I've never looked at these shocks, so I'm just kind of going flying by the seat of my pants here. Some other preloads that I don't understand the point of if you've got the threaded preload on the body anyways. Spring retainer, that'll be useful. And some rod ends for the rod. And some other dampeners and stuff like that. Let's see what's in this bag here. Just dump it out there. In this bag we've got the rods, obviously. My lighting could be better, but you'll just have to agree with me here. We've got ball ends for attaching it to the vehicle. We've got some more dampeners. I don't know why. I don't know why we need them on there and on the parts tree. I don't know. Some little E-clips. I'm not even going to attempt to pick those up because they suck to pick up. And some other little plastic bits. O-ring things. And another bag. Let's see what's in this one too. Alright, in this one are some O-rings, large O-rings. I would assume those go in the shock cap. Some small O-rings go along the shaft and the bottom. some pink things I just dropped on the floor. I don't know what the heck they're for. And some shock bladders. Yeah, it's not focusing very well. And some clear O-rings. So, I don't know. Like I said, this is my first time with these. There's a lot more pieces than I'm used to seeing in a shock. So if you can read whatever language that is, Chinese, Japanese, I don't know, I'm not even going to try. I can read pictures, so that's what I'm going to go with. So it looks like the first step is to build the rod. So what we need to do is put an E-clip on either side of a dampener on the rod. I think I can do that. So here's the rod. E-clips suck to pick up. Use the magnetic tool and then we can pick them up easier. Get them most of the way on there with my hand and then just pinch it on with the pliers. And there's that. And I'm going to go with these white dampeners. They look cleaner. And I'm going to go with the 2-hole one. I don't know why. Just because it's a middle of the road kind of thing. And I don't know what I'm doing as far as tuning with this. So I'm just going to throw it together and hope for the best. If you need help tuning your drift car too, check out driftmission.com. It's a couple of buddies of mine that run that. They're regulars at the Prodigy D Drift Club here in Calgary that I frequent, or wish I could frequent. I go there as often as I can. Family always gets in the way, I tell you what. I mean, family first. Remember that, family first. Just in case my wife's watching. Family first. Remember that. So there we go. There's the rod with the dampener on it. Let's see these instructions I can't read. Next one's okay, now it says to put the O-ring in. What? That doesn't make much sense. It says this 12mm O-ring goes on top of the cylinder nut. Oh well, whatever they say, they must know what they're talking about, because I'm confused by that whole situation, but I'll just do what they say. I'm sure they know better than I do in this. So it says that 12mm O-ring goes on top of that cylinder nut. I don't think that's right, but I'm hoping it proves me wrong here. I don't know if maybe that's to hold the cylinder nut down, or I don't know. That's just what it says. If you think it says something different, let me know, but that's what it looks like to me. Cylinder nut. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. Looks like for the bottom one there, we need an O-ring, a spacer, and a rod guide. I wish they were a little more explicit on this thing. I have no idea what any of these things are. There's a whole bunch of things here that look like spacers. There's a whole bunch of things that look like what they called on there as a rod guide. So guess that's what you get for ordering stuff from Japan and China, though. I mean, you get the better quality stuff, but can't understand the instructions. Alright, so I'm going to go with this. I'm going to assume that that's the rod guide. And that this, oh, that's not it. And that this is the spacer. says silicone O-ring. I'm going to assume silicone is clear. Who knows? I'm sure I'll get proven wrong here at some point. So, O-ring, spacer, rod guide as they call it, and the little cap. And just squish that all in there together. Nice and tight. And then it wants me to put an O-ring on the shaft as well, like so. That's what the instructions say right there. O-ring on the shaft as well, so we'll do that. And then we put the shaft through the body and put the rod end on. That I can do. I understand that. Still really confused by that O-ring on the thread nut. I'm going to take that off and just take another look at it. Maybe it goes inside the nut or something. Oh yeah, there's a little raceway inside the nut. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a little raceway in there, and that washer that O-ring goes in there. I assume it's just to keep it so that it's a little bit more difficult to turn, so that it doesn't just back off on you while you're driving. That's going to be my educated guess. So fits in there, so that must be how it is. Oh yeah, it's much more difficult to get on there nicely now. So yeah, that's probably what it is. It's not really a waterproofing or a liquid proofing like you'd expect on an O-ring as an O-ring feature. It's more of a difficult to turn so that it doesn't back off on you while you're driving and change your handling setup and just throw you off. Alright, so that's that. And now this is where some of this paper towel here comes in. Just grab a little sheet of paper towel like this and just fold it up a few times. And grab your pliers and put the paper towel in your pliers. And then put that onto the rod, because you don't want to damage that rod, because if that rod gets damaged, then the O-rings in there get damaged, and then it's just a mess trying to clean it up and replace the O-rings and replace the rod. It's just no fun. You end up with a leak, and leaky shocks suck. So we just hold that rod with the pliers. I'm trying to do it so you guys can see, but it's a little awkward. So, and we just force that rod end on there, just like that. There it goes. Gotta hold pretty tight with the pliers, because obviously the paper towel allows the pliers to turn, or allows the rod to turn inside the pliers. So just got to do what you can with it. Larger pliers with a little more leverage might be better. So that's in there now. Next step, according to our instructions that I can't read, is fill the shock. Well, I know how to do that. I've done that once or twice, but these guys may do it a little bit different. So fill the shock, moving the piston up and down so that you get all the bubbles out. Put some paper towel around it so that when you spill it everywhere, you can catch it. I love their pictures. That's awesome. And then put in the bladder, and then this pink thing that I didn't know what it is for. Apparently it's a urethane bushing. And then we put in V9, which is this little guy right here, the top rod link ball mount thing, and then we put on the cap, and that's how it goes all together. And we put the spring on, so I think we can handle this. I'm not quite so confused anymore. I think we got this figured. I got 30 weight oil I'm going to throw in this, mostly because it's what I had, and secondary because that's what it was suggested on that drift mission forum I was telling you about. I did some searching on there, and that's what was suggested to the one guy, so I'll go with it. I'm easy. Give it a shot. I like to fill it about 3/4 of the way full, and then stroke the piston up and down a couple of times. Air bubbles will work up to the top, and put a little more in. You don't want to fill right to the top, because once you put that bladder in, it's just gonna spew out anyway. And we'll put in the bladder and spew it out a little bit so that it's fine and we know it's full. You want it to spew out a little bit, because if it doesn't, then you don't know if it's full. So now we put in that little urethane pink thing, put on the rod end and the cap on top of that, and screw the cap down just as tight as you can with your hands. You don't want to use any tools on that, you'll just damage stuff. So nice and smooth, I like it. And we'll throw the spring on there and the spring retainer. It'll be difficult for me. And for the spring retainer, you just kind of squeeze the spring up with your hand and then stuff the retainer in there at the same time and hold your tongue the right way, and there we go. There is a shock. Not much travel, but on road you don't need a lot, so there we go. That's it. And I'm gonna do that 3 more times without so much talking, because you guys don't need to see it 4 times, so I'm gonna let you go now. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helps. Psst. Hey, you still there? Just want to say thank you to anybody that's hung around this long. For obviously you're the dedicated few, and I appreciate what you do, and I couldn't just leave you there hanging just showing a build video. Got to give you guys a little bit of a shot of the finished product, so here you go.